This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network.
He's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
Analytics, statistics, and more are used to win wagers, and Gill has every number you need to cash your tickets. Now, live from the VSiN studios in the South Point Hotel and Casino, it's Gill Alexander.
Thank you to Ron Flatter for that update. It's Gill Alexander. It is a numbers game right here at VSiN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204, VSiN.com, the VSiN app, and, of course, Fubo TV as well. Ron Flatter will be on the show tomorrow, along with the Bear, Chris Felica from College Game Day. We'll talk Breeders' Cup with the both of them. Ron Flatter, by the way, Jorge, I should point out, one of the great, a great gift for imitation. So if you ever run into trouble with Ron on the NASCAR show or whatever show you do with Ron, you just say, "Hey, could you imitate somebody else here at VSiN?" And he does a spot-on imitation of everybody. Although I have not heard me done by him. So I would be curious.
I have. It's pretty good. But you know who I want to see you impersonate?
Who?
Bill Krackomberger.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jorge Mundaca. No time for my ruminations. Ladies and gentlemen, he is here. Professional sports bettor. Iconic figure here in the desert. Bill Krackomberger. The Crack Man. What's happening, Bill?
Good morning. Mentioning Chris Felica, I love him. He's a great follow.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. So.
Great guy. By the way, Chris comes on this show and talks about no fewer than 6 different sports with me from a betting perspective.
Isn't that unbelievable? That's great. You get a little of everything.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's like going to a buffet of the sports book.
He is a buffet of sports betting. Chris, if you're listening.
The morning buffets.
That's right.
All right.
This might be.
I have a lot to say today. I hope I get it in.
Yeah, Warren, we're just going to shout out Warren Sharp, who's on the phone right now. Warren, Bill said, and you can actually say what you said. Like, this might.
This episode, we don't need you.
No, don't do that. Don't go away, Warren.
No.
Stick around. Warren Sharp here from Sharp Football Stats and SharpFootballAnalysis.com. Bill on Twitter, a great follow yourself, sir, at Bill Crackman with the K, crackwins.com.
Cool.
All right, what's on your mind, man?
Let's see. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
That's the episode here.
I think Mitch and Paulie do that, don't they?
Do they?
We don't want to steal their bit.
Right.
Yeah. But go ahead. Yeah.
I've been saying that for years. They probably stole it off me.
No.
Anyway.
Might have predated you.
I was hanging out downtown last night, Halloween night. And I like to go down there when that's like the freaks come out at night, especially Halloween night.
Houdini.
It's amazing to me that people are allowed to wear mask and face paint. And, they say that, we really don't want you in the casinos. But yet I'm walking through the casino and there they are.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's amazing nothing serious happens. And no one's like robbing the casinos. It would almost be like an Ocean's 11 Halloween version.
Right. Because it's built in, if you will.
Wow. And there's like freaks. I mean, there's Grim Reapers. There's a Santa Claus sitting there with an FU sign. He's sitting down on a chair. You can take a picture with a Santa Claus. He's got booze in his hand, cigarette hanging out, and giving the finger. That's great. I love him. I mean, it's just like, but there's other things that, it's not a night to bring out kids and stuff. And
no.
Some people have to bring out their dogs. You can't even walk down there. People have no common sense. There's nothing common in common sense anymore.
That's right. That's the thing about common sense.
It is.
It's very uncommon.
But I was hanging out with Derek Stevens. He's just so cool. I mean,
great dude.
I'll just tell you, he sits right at the long bar there. He played Willy Wonka. He was Willy Wonka last night. With
nice.
all those Oompa Loompas around him.
Was he more of a Gene Wilder Willy Wonka or more of a modern-day version? Who played the modern-day? Was that Johnny Depp?
No, he was Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Good. We like the old school.
He looked great. I loved him. He was great. He had a great outfit on. And he gets out of his chair and meets people, and he comes right up to me and just like, "Oh, man, you get VSiN stuff. You guys are doing great." And it's just a good feeling. He's the last of the Mohicans casino owners. There's no one like that anymore.
Right.
There's no one. It's a lost art. There's no one that comes up to the customers and makes them feel good. I always say, you go to your favorite restaurant or something. The food's great. That's why I go. The food only has to be so good. It's just like, the food's okay. If the owner comes around and makes you feel special. How you guys doing tonight? Just shaking hands.
But I will say this. Have you eaten at Andiamo before over there?
Yeah, I love Andiamo.
Oh,
fantastic.
So good.
No, that's a great place. Old school Detroit chef came over there. I don't know how they have it anymore, but I know that's the way it was in the beginning. And it's great. It's a hard restaurant to get in. That's another thing too. He comes in, "Hey, did you eat yet? You want to go eat?" I said, "No," but he's just a great guy, and that's that's some of the good.
Big friend of the network, and obviously he hangs out with Brent often on the show as well.
How about some of the bad and the ugly? You want to save that, or you want to?
No. Let's get into some bad. You're good at bad and ugly.
Bad.
Yeah.
2 days ago, I tried to place 3 different wagers at Cantor, and like, I'm friends with Tony over there. I actually like him. He's a great guy. But when he's not there, brother, it's hard to get a bet in. They just turn me down on everything. I mean, and I'm the first to the number. Warren had a game. He said, "Hey, I like this. What's going? There's some information on a quarterback," and he said, "We think Oakland +3, which is gone now, is a decent bet. Nothing crazy." So I just said, "You know what? I'm going to bet. I don't bet a lot on the NFL. Let me bet 2 dimes." And listen. Warren originated it. It was the first to it. So bang, I bet 2 dimes, and they denied the bet, and they moved the number. I immediately called Tony. I said, "Tony, what's going on?" "Oh, I'm sorry, man. Let me call over them. I'm not in there." Bang, that happens. Then I go to bet Maryland. There was something happened with Maryland. This is before the coach was fired. Maryland, and the same thing happened. They denied. A third bet. They literally came back to me and said $500 instead of 2 dimes. I got so mad. I said, Tony, I never talk about you guys in social media or anything, but, really, when you're not there, the guys that you have running there, I probably wouldn't give a mop job to. I just wouldn't let them work for me. So I told him about it, and he probably doesn't know I'm going on. I don't mean to go on air, but I got to tell you I say good things too. It
is. Listen, it's frustrating. You're allowed
so
to vent when you make a wager at a price.
I'm originating. It's not like 2 different guys are coming and trying to chase steam. We're originating this stuff. This is not something coming. But your job there is to take volume, and there's no reason for me. And I have 5 figures in my account. There's no reason for me to keep 5 figures in my Cantor account if you're not going to take bets. And that's any place across the whole desert here.
But the denial followed by the changing of the number.
Yes,
is
I'm doing the bookmaking for the guys that are in the office there.
That is
so.
Not.
I'm actually doing your job. You're getting paid to do it. But hey, take a guy like Crackman, take his bets, and deny them, and move the line. Thanks, Crack. Thanks for doing my job. I mean, so that's I mentioned good, bad. Let's go to the ugly,
please.
DraftKings. John Avello and Frank from Caesars over here, they left their jobs for nice, cushy, big 6-figure jobs, I'm sure, with DraftKings. And they're not answering anything on social media. There's a lot of problems happening on the East Coast. They're having their office here in Las Vegas. That's what from what I hear. And so now they have these jobs, and people are reaching out to them on social media, including me, and they're not getting back to anyone. They're denying a lot of wagers back east, and they're actually doing the same thing that happened to me at Cantor, but on an even smaller scale. They've given guys some $10 wagers instead of $500 wagers.
Stop it.
Yes. Well, someone posted a picture of their $10 wager on Twitter. I retweeted it. And
but he was limited to 10?
Yes, 10 grocery dollars. Little grocery
10 United States dollars.
Yes. So on an NFL game, by the way. Yeah. So in other words, same thing, too. They're moving the line. Oh, my God. It was Spanky. It was a big East Coast bettor. And he's there in Jersey, and they say, oh my God, Spanky's betting. So let's move our line. Thanks for the work, Spank. Well, why are they paying these guys all these big money over here for their risk department? What part of the risk is when you're risking 10 grocery dollars?
What are we doing with $10?
And
what are we doing there?
If it's only 1 or 2 people that have said this, it's hard, you can't believe everyone that you hear from. But when I see it online, see pictures of the tickets. I had a call last week from a guy. He posted his tickets. He sent me when I say tickets, pictures of his online DraftKings account, where they've limited them to $25 on props. And I understand proposition bets are harder to beat. So I understand why you would limit them, not to $25, but they take $500. Okay, here we take $200 off the guy. It's a fair settlement in the middle. Hey, thanks for helping us, and you know more about props than us. That's going to happen. So when I see this, and I see even me myself asking questions to these guys, and then them not getting back to me. It's a concern, because if I can't get a question answered, I'm not saying I'm anyone special, but I'm kind of a voice in the industry. If I can't, then what's the little guy have a chance? They have no chance.
Right, which we saw with the William Hill NFL draft props.
And William Hill, they're another ones. You call them up and to get answers on their 800 number and their customer service number, and they don't return calls. Same thing with DraftKings. Why have a customer service number? Why have a customer service department when you have no customer service?
Yeah.
These guys have actually tried to get a hold of them, and DraftKings just doesn't get back to them. Or they get back to them with a vanilla form answer, reading and just filling in your name.
Yeah.
So
now I want to just say this, because there's going to be somebody out there who's listening to be like, oh, Craig going off on his thing. I was asked by someone doing a documentary from a network. One of the questions I was asked was, what do you think is Bill's greatest asset? I was asked about you. And by the way, I think all I'm used for is to talk about you. And I said very quickly, my response was, you know what Bill's greatest contribution is that Bill genuinely cares about the average bettor. Bet all he wants, however much money he makes doing whatever he wants. The single biggest asset that you bring to this industry is that you genuinely care. When you're talking right now, it will come off to some people as, Bill's just got all this to say. But you care, man. You really do want the best for this industry, and you want every side, both sides, to hold up their end of the bargain.
Thank you. And I absolutely do. Nothing benefits me from DraftKings. I can't bet there. I'm not betting there. I'm here in Nevada. I do. I actually like to help the little guy. I always talk too much and give out a lot, a little bit more than I should. So I absolutely do. And I'm glad that I have this here metric. Someone asked me something about that the other day. I'm glad I have this
platform.
Yes,
Yes.
this platform. But yeah, someone asked me about going off on something else. Gurley, when he scored the touchdown, when he didn't score the touchdown.
Yeah.
I said 99% of these guys know the spread. Now maybe it's a little high. I don't know, but
They're probably a little high.
and then a guy who I actually respect. This guy Joe Brennan Jr. Follows me on Twitter. He says, "What metric did you use to?" Well, I had to go look up the word metric. Hold on, metric. Let's put it in street terms. Where did you get this number? Come on, give me a break. But you know what? Honestly, I'll go back to that too.
Yeah.
Listen, it's all the entourages. They all fool around with the guys and talk. Most of the guys know the spreads. It's 2018 now. Sports betting's everywhere. It's on ESPN every day. Turn on something as a platform. Turn on all these stations, even the Fox stations that have the sports. There's a scrolling thing with the lines. Of course, most of the players know what the lines. Of course, the coaches know the lines. Maybe it's not talked about a lot, but I'll tell you one thing. I know some ex-athletes. It is talked about privately, and it's used also for motivation sometimes. Hey, guys, we're 9-point underdog this week.
But you don't think Todd Gurley was doing anything but making a football play there, do you?
Absolutely not. Actually, he's supposed to stop there.
Yes,
he's
absolutely.
Supposed to, because anything can happen with the extra point, and then you have Rodgers. It could
100%.
However, he used it as frig. He said, what did he say? F Vegas?
Well, because somebody asked him, right? It wasn't like he just came up with it.
No, someone asked me. He said, screw Vegas and screw fantasy.
Yeah.
So he wasn't doing that with thought, but he felt that was a good stage for him.
Yeah. No.
But going back to what you said, though.
Yes.
I do care about everybody. I do care about the little guys, and I try to answer every question I can, and I try to get their questions answered. And there's a lot of people that hate me, like Uncle Buck. With the hat. Maybe it's this hat. I don't know. But there are those people that actually hate me, too, for being a voice. I understand. But, I guess if they didn't talk about you, you wouldn't be worth anything, if that makes any sense.
It does.
I had no controversy about me. So
it does.
Some people hate that I go after casinos and sports books, and I don't know. I do have some haters, but I think I have 95% of them like me and like me sticking up for them and talking. Like I said, I tell you the good things too. I tell you where to go to South Point. Great place for a book. I was at we filmed at the Westgate the other day.
And
Love it.
And you're not beyond saying good things about some of your more frequent targets.
Of course. I actually said some good stuff about William Hill the other day.
You did.
So crazy. God, I gotta get some.
Bill Krackomberger, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have him simmer down a little, and maybe he'll come up with some other stuff to talk about. Warren Sharp is with us. Warren standing by. Warren has got his 3 best surprises of the first half of the NFL season. I want to get to that. Also, is it addition by subtraction? Golden Tate going from Detroit to Philadelphia. Addition by subtraction for the Lions in conference trade. I think that's the most fascinating thing about the trade deadline. These teams' willingness to trade these players in conference. Does Warren view it as a good thing for the Lions? And then what about some other things? Todd Haley leaving the Browns. Good thing? Bad thing? Jordan Reed. Will the Redskins ever figure out how to use him? All of it on the football free-for-all right here on A Numbers Game at VSiN. Coming back.
Back to A Numbers Game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
Back in A Numbers Game where sports betting analytics live, actionable sports betting information. It's Gill Alexander. Excuse me. Jorge Mondaca is here. Bill Krackomberger in studio. Crackwins.com, at Bill Crackman with the K on Twitter. I was mentioning, before we get to Warren here, Warren Sharp standing by, I was mentioning last segment, Jorge, that my arm killing me last night. Woke me up out of sleep, pain. the source of which I have no idea what's going on. And so you don't expect people to respond to that. You just throw away comment. IMR Massage here down the road, kind enough to tweet, come in and let us take care of that arm pain, Gill. We're the Vegas leaders in sports massage rather than injury rehab, located right down the street. Thank you. I have a podcast to do. Otherwise, I might take you up on that. Thank you for that. And then somebody got to be funny on Twitter as well. So Benji Fever links me to Urban Dictionary. He says, Gill, your right arm issues are solved. And he takes me to something called Petermanthesia. Petermanthesia. It's a medical condition in which one's right arm only falls asleep while at work, named after Nathan Peterman, making his 5-interception debut against the San Diego Chargers. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Warren Sharp, please save us. Please save us.
Let us talk with the great Warren Sharp, the creator of SharpFootballStats.com, SharpFootballAnalysis.com, and one of the great football analytics follows, if not the greatest, at Sharp Football. Warren, good morning to you, and let us start, sir, with your 3 biggest surprises to the good thus far in the NFL season, if you would, sir.
Morning, guys. Yeah, definitely a lot of.
Oh, and we lost Warren. Right.
Finds this NFL season.
We lost Warren on the audio. Let's try to work that out because Warren is jumping in and out. So we'll get back to Warren. Hopefully we can get that ready to go. And I'll even bring up what Warren is going to talk about, which is specifically the 3 biggest surprises that he finds to the good thus far in the NFL season. The Colts' offensive line and their performance in front of Andrew Luck. Number 2, the relationship between Norv Turner and Cam Newton, which he did not necessarily see coming. And then 3rd, of course, which I think we've touched upon earlier on the show and have in previous shows, Adrian Peterson rushing with the Washington Redskins after being a cast-off this offseason, playing for the veteran minimum, a guy that the Saints and the Cardinals couldn't wait to get rid of, doing big things in D.C. Here's Warren on the phone, back on with us. Warren, I gave away the headlines. You can flesh these out for us, though.
Well, so the Colts and the offensive line.
No, can't get them.
Right, Andrew.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
You there?
Yeah, we're there. Try again. One more time, Warren. Go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
Right. The Colts and their offensive line definitely, with Andrew Luck being able to have this protection, has been vital because that offensive line has been rebuilt over the last couple of years. They've drafted some players, a new regime, some players still around from the old regime that they drafted. And the fact that Andrew Luck hasn't been sacked, I think he's taken 1 sack. It was week 4, the first snap against the New England Patriots. And since that point, he hasn't even been sacked, I believe. So that's been obviously incredible because this team's a pass-first team. So they need to keep him upright. And an offensive line being able to do that, especially off of his injury and everything, has been massive. Number 2, Norv Turner working with Cam Newton. I think that's been absolutely tremendous because I had definite concerns heading into the season about that chemistry. You know, Cam is more of a longer drop back, slower release. He doesn't like to hit anything short. He would rarely throw the football to his running backs. He wanted to push the ball down the field on shot plays, took a bunch of hits. His sack rate has dropped tremendously. He's getting the ball out quickly. They actually don't have hardly any explosive plays in the passing game, but they're one of the most efficient passing offenses. What I mean by that is they're not pushing the ball down the field with these long dropbacks like they used to do, but they're having a lot of quick releases or 3-step drops, 5-step, get the ball out immediately, be able to see where you're going with the read quickly in the progression and deliver that ball timely so the defense can't interfere with that play. Even if it's only like a 6 or 7 yard gain, it's keeping you ahead of schedule and it's being successful. And then lastly is, of course, Adrian Peterson and the fact that this guy was unwanted. You know, nobody wanted him. He was a free agent. He was playing for a 1-year deal for the veteran minimum. Absolutely ridiculous, the production that he's been delivering. And there's a few honorable mentions. I mean, I didn't think the Seahawks were going to be able to run the football as good as they are. You know, Brian Schottenheimer has been running the football very well in Seattle. I think their defense would be a little bit worse. That is playing well. So, and then Patrick Mahomes, of course, but that's a big storyline everybody's talking about, right, is what Patrick Mahomes is. And there was some hype on him heading into the season, but I think he's kind of exceeded all those expectations. So At times, on your show and just in general on Twitter, I will talk about the things that need to change, the problem areas, the things that need to be improved, because I like watching efficient football. So my feed tends to skew a little bit more towards that. But it's necessary to kind of like praise the things that are going well and the positivity in the league, and those are some of the storylines I saw.
I agree with you, because we tend to harp on the stuff that drives us crazy. It is nice to step back for a second and say, well, these are the things that have really been impressive. Trade deadline this week, Warren, was fascinating because for the first time we really saw an NFL trade deadline that mattered. And the two things that stuck out to me, again, the willingness for teams to trade to potential rivals within conference, and are we seeing the first signs of teams punting for the rest of the season in the NFL? And I don't think that that's a blanket answer. I think maybe you could make the claim that Denver, in trading Demaryius Thomas to their next opponent, just to add a fuel to the fire, maybe Denver is. Maybe Denver's so far back in the AFC West, maybe they just don't feel like they have the Thomas contract issues on the horizon. Maybe they are punting, even though they'll never admit it out loud. But the Packers, despite Ty Montgomery and Clinton Dix going to the Ravens and Redskins, respectively, maybe they feel that the greatness of Aaron Rodgers can overcome all that. The Lions are a very interesting case, and this is where I come to you, which is that last week they pick up Damon Snacks Harrison from the Giants. Love the nickname Snacks. And you think, okay, well, they're a buyer. And then they trade Golden Tate. Again, contract matters, involved here. But they trade him to a team in the Eagles that could be, I still think the Eagles win the NFC East, but let's just say the Eagles could be in a wild card battle with the Lions at some point. But you're saying it's not quite that simple, that getting rid of Golden Tate is actually a very good move for the Lions.
I don't necessarily view it as them punting on the season. Absolutely agree with most everything that you just said there, with the respect to the other teams in the Denver situation. But with Golden Tate, that will allow the offense, hopefully, to get rid of their 4 wide receiver sets, because they were using a lot of 4 wide receiver sets throughout the first half of the season, and those were very ineffective sets. Like, those were not productive sets to use. They were much better in 11 personnel, but even better in 2 wide receiver sets, 12 or 21. And being a run team right now, they're one of the most run-heavy teams in the league. They've completely switched their type of attack from what we've seen the last few years. Now that Matt Patricia's in there and they have a running back who can actually run, and Kerryon Johnson, they are actually a very much run-heavy team. But out of these 2 wide receiver sets that allow for, at times, an extra tight end on the field to help block in pass protection, they've been so good at throwing the football. They now have a 66% success rate when they pass the football out of 2 wide receiver sets, but out of 3 wide receiver sets, it drops down all the way to 48%. Their yards per attempt are up 0.7 yards per attempt better when they use only 2 wide receivers on the field, and the passer rating is 128 as compared to 94 when they're using 3 wide receiver sets. So I hope that the Lions get the benefit of, yes, we don't have Golden Tate, but guess what? We could feature our 2 other premier wide receivers, and we're not going to really miss too much of a beat. Golden Tate will be missing some of the short yardage things. I think they are kind of looking a little bit to the future with the draft pick, but they don't feel like it's going to impact them nearly as much. The Green Bay Packers, I still don't really, and like I said, I echo your sentiment. I don't understand why they're getting rid of Clinton Dix. I know that they have safeties and a young secondary, and they think that they're still going to be productive, and they're not giving up on the season by any stretch. But what if there's an injury? You're going to trade a starter in the secondary to a team that's 5-2 and could be ahead of you in the standings for the NFC playoffs. And you're going to give them one of your safeties in case you have an injury. I do agree. I like the fact that more teams are trading because it shows aggression. And previously, teams, I thought, had the nearsighted look at, like, well, we don't want to help another team in the NFC, so we're not going to trade anybody else in the NFC. But the fact is, like, focus on yourself first. If this trade will help make you better, then why don't you just do it? Who cares if it's helping somebody in another division within your same conference? Like, let's make ourselves better. I don't think this trade for 2018 makes the Green Bay Packers better whatsoever. So that's why I question that move. It helps them a little bit long term, but it's helping another team in the NFC become better. So I like the fact that there is more activity, but a couple of these moves definitely didn't seem quite in line, but I did not have a problem with that Golden Tate move.
Co-sign on all that. By the way, Detroit, 5-point underdogs, maybe from some 4.5s in some places, at Minnesota this Sunday morning. Green Bay, the aforementioned Packers, 5.5-point consensus dogs now at New England on Sunday night. Maybe the marquee matchup this weekend, but there's a couple great games, the Rams and New Orleans being another one of them. So really a couple spectacular matchups in the NFL this weekend. And obviously we also talked about the first one, in addition to that, Demaryius Thomas, Denver, trading Thomas to the Texans. The two teams play in Denver this weekend, and right now that's either a pick 'em or consensus, really. Denver a 1-point favorite in that ball game on Sunday afternoon. Another team in action, of course, the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, Warren, we're talking to Warren Sharp from sharpfootballanalysis.com, sharpfootballstats.com, on Twitter at sharpfootball. Bill Krackomberger standing by with us as well. Cleveland, Warren, is a 9-point or maybe 8.5-point dog, depending on where you're shopping right now, at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. And we understand that number, obviously, though. The big news is that Hugh Jackson was fired, head coach of the Cleveland Browns, after 2+ tumultuous years there, tumultuous being an understatement. And Todd Haley, shortly thereafter, the offensive coordinator, fired as well within the hour. You, from a X's and O's standpoint, think that that's a good thing, the Haley part of it for the Browns?
Yeah, there was a number of things. I have a predictive play model where I can look back and I can look at what a team does on the prior play to predict what they're going to do on the next play from a play calling tendencies. And every play caller has various tendencies. And so I can check that over the last 3 seasons and try to find some actionable takeaways from it. And the Cleveland Browns were just, abhorrent, to put it mildly, with some of their play calling in terms of their desire to, from 2nd and long, run the ball after a 1st and 10 incompletion, from 1st and 10 where they take a sack. They are running the ball on 2nd and long. They are in third and short. A team that their quarterback hasn't been all that productive. I don't know that you could say he's failed to meet expectations. I think we should blame some of that on the coaching staff and what he's been being thrust into there. But at any rate, he's not as strong as what we were hoping he would be. And yet we see a team throw the ball 100% of the time when they're on 3rd and short after they pick up a nice gain on 2nd and long. It just made no sense whatsoever, that play calling. So I thought that Todd Haley was problematic there in some of the decision making. We've discussed on your show my feelings of Todd Haley when he was in Pittsburgh. They did not do a lot of scheming. They did not do a lot of emphasis on opponents' weaknesses and trying to change up the game plan to find value. All they were doing is basically, I got great players, roll the ball out on the field. Here's some of our best plays. Let's go execute. And that they don't have those great players in Cleveland right now. So it was hard for him to see success there.
Cleveland, once again, 8.5 or 9-point dogs at home against Kansas City this weekend. We'll talk briefly, see if these gentlemen have any thoughts on tonight's Oakland-San Francisco barn burner from the Bay, and we'll ask them the final 2 questions as well. The big favorite they believe is most likely to lose outright. The game they'd want no part of. It's the football free-for-all. Warren Sharp, Bill Krackomberger right here on A Numbers Game at VSiN. Coming back.
Back to A Numbers Game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
Do not forget to take advantage of VSiN's mid-season special for Point Spread Weekly. It's our digital magazine. You get total access to our live and archive video plus Point Spread Weekly and our special betting guides. It costs only $99, and that takes you from now through the Super Bowl. Sign up at VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSiN.com/subscribe. All kinds of sports in there. From MMA to NASCAR. We talked to Jeff Coliandro on Fridays. CFL, all down the line. Golf, tennis. It's all in Point Spread Weekly. This week's edition with Tua Tagovailoa on the cover as Bama heads into LSU, into Baton Rouge as 14.5-point favorites. The number 1 team in the country against the number 3 team in the country. It's just Bama's world. We're all living in it. VSiN.com/subscribe. Check it out. Warren Sharp on the phone. Bill Krackomberger in studio. Crackman, I should clarify, you were talking about how you were hanging out with Derek Stevens. Derek Stevens, I said a friend of Network, also investor in Network. I should have full disclosure.
And I did not know that.
Yes.
Wow. Good deal.
So Derek is really, we think the world of him, and apparently he of us. So we really love Derek.
Are we eventually going to be doing some stuff like downtown with him, maybe at the new joint?
Yes, we are.
Oh, cool.
Yes, we are.
Cool.
Eventually we are. And it's we look forward to that at some point in the future. I was talking last week with you real briefly, because this just popped in my head, because I was in Biloxi yesterday at Beau Rivage. And, I'm fascinated by, and with legalization, the very thing that I've been fascinated by is, will there be regional biases on some of these lines? And I mentioned last week with the Giants-Falcons Monday night game, if you recall, that it actually went the opposite. That in New Jersey, people are so down on the Giants that it ended up being the Falcons 4.5 in New Jersey, because they all bet against the Giants there, whereas here in Vegas and elsewhere it was 4 closing number. So yesterday I'm down at Beau Rivage, and there was the Saints-Vikings Sunday night game last week. And there is, now I didn't verify this personally, let me just state this, but the word is that another property down there, Imperial Palace, which I believe is a Boyd Gaming property down there, Imperial Palace, that the 90 minutes prior to kickoff of the Saints-Vikings game, keep in mind you're right in Saints country right there, they didn't take one single wager on the Vikings.
Wow.
Not one.
That's unbelievable.
Not one in the 90 minutes prior to kickoff. So I just find these things are going to pop up, right? These things are going to be fascinating as this goes on and as more states pop up with teams that are
What is that, about 90 miles? I've been there. By the way, I love it there. I love Beau Rivage. I like Biloxi. What is it, about 90 miles or something like that to New Orleans?
It's an hour west of so New Orleans is an hour west of Beau Rivage, and Alabama Mobile is an hour east of Beau Rivage.
Oh, cool.
Which is
so that's all Saint country then. You might as well.
It's all Saints country.
Wow.
Whereas in college, it's everybody.
Yes.
Right. It's LSU. It's Bama. It's everybody.
Oh yeah.
Not everybody, but the idea. It's more than one team.
But there's a perfect example now. So are they adjust? I haven't looked down there. I don't know if they're on Don Best or not, but I haven't looked. Are they adjusting their lines with anticipation of Saints money and those teams like LSU? Are they adjusting their lines with anticipation of that money coming in, or are they letting the money come in and then they start moving?
I think they're letting it come in.
Wow,
that's my impression.
That's great.
I could be wrong about that, but that's my impression.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'll have to go down there.
Let me tell you, Beau Rivage, where we stayed, is a beautiful property.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I told you about the French restaurant across the street.
That's right. Mary was it?
Mary Monahan's or something.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great. It's great. It's you're walking into a history, 200-year-old house there. So
Jay Rude went there the other night. He had dinner there the other night before my arrival.
Oh,
yeah,
I love it. I've been there. And so our other, I know Beau Rivage, is the Boyd properties in Biloxi? Because I know that they are in Tunica, I believe. But I know are they booking sports right there in Biloxi? Do you know?
Imperial Palace has a sports book.
Okay. Because then down the road there, I was in Gulfport too. And there's a couple casinos there too. I wonder if they're all. I'll have to go there.
Gulfport is where we fly into there. Yeah, but they welcomed us. It was tremendous. We're going to Tunica actually next month.
Oh, cool.
At Gold Strike.
I like those places. I don't know. I like going to visit Graceland and in Memphis and then going over to Tunica. I love that.
Right.
So that's a great time. You can bet sports there now. Wonderful.
Did you get off your chest all that you needed to last segment, or did something linger that you wanted to?
Someone sent me another a copy of his play, and that he made a bet for.
Yes, you showed me.
I sent it to you. I sent you the actual bet.
Yeah, so I see the actual ticket, just in case you thought Bill was just ranting.
No, you see it there, right?
So this is a DraftKings app I'm looking at here.
DraftKings app.
He tried to put in a
this morning. This just happened now too, by the way.
Yeah.
He tried to put a bet of $330 on a college football team under, and which I see that number is still available at a couple books in Vegas here. They denied his $330 and gave him $130. Wow. Just as DraftKings. That's amazing. Like I said, there's an old lady in South Philly booking out of her bra more than $130 a game. I'll give you her address there.
That's okay. I'm good with her.
I mean, how can I don't understand what's going on. This big fantasy company wants to get involved with sports betting, and They're taking $100.
Yeah.
How can they pay these guys?
See, but this is the
How
broader.
can they pay Frank and John?
Right. This is the broader discussion, though, that you and I get into with this stuff is, so you and I tend to be, let's face it, us and those that we associate with, we tend to be really close to the sun, if you will, right? So we're fully immersed in this. And so when we see things like this, our reaction is to be outraged, right? And our reaction is to be like, are you kidding me? Like, really, are you booking or are you not? But it gets into a broader discussion of, the prediction before the season began, before legalization and before football season. I was like, okay, well, with legalization, it might produce competition and therefore even better offerings and lines all across the country. And what we're seeing is the opposite of that. What we're seeing is that these new companies into sports betting, like a DraftKings, they outrage people like us who are, again, very close to the sun in sports betting, so to speak, and they just don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care because they're like, you know what? You guys don't matter. You guys don't matter. It's about how we can cast the widest net, and as long as we can get over on people who don't care about the nuts and bolts of it, we're going to keep doing it.
These people don't have voices that are betting $100.
Yeah, Warren wants to jump in.
Yeah, Warren, we'll let you in.
Go ahead, Warren.
Make it snappy.
What I can tell you is that the DraftKings, FanDuel, etc., these guys are used to running their fantasy contests where they get a standard rate across the whole thing. They already know how many people are going to join each one of these tournaments or contests that they've got. They got hundreds of them up there. So they know how much they're going to make. There's never the risk for them to lose anything. In this industry, there is the risk for sharper sports bettors to be able to beat them. And so they have to figure out what they're going to do with their risk management. Are they going to continue to take action from people who are actually capable of beating them because they're not used to losing any money with what they did with, their standard daily fantasy stuff?
Very good.
It's a great point.
It is.
Yeah.
And my thing is this, too. I stuck up for FanDuel a couple weeks ago with that whole situation they had there. I do both things. Something can happen from DraftKings, and I'll stick up for them, too. But don't act like you're a sports book if you're not a sports book. Don't put up tickets that you take these giant bets, but then you don't take the little bets. Like, don't act like you're a sports book and you pay out big money like William Hill does with their tweets, like these places DraftKings does. Don't act like you're taking these huge bets and then don't take the average Joe that's trying to bet $300 on a total because he may know something or whatever. Take his bet and move the line. That's it.
The other thing that I've noticed they've done here in the short term, and they're, look, books are they're gonna try to attract attention by different marketing tools. One of the things that they're doing, the new companies, at least new to sports betting, the FanDuels and the DraftKings, is they're doing these things where they have boosts. They're calling them boosts.
Yes.
Have you seen these at all?
Yes, I have.
So let's take a player per game in the NFL. Will they exceed a certain amount of yardage? I'm just making one up, right? And instead of, what they'll do is they'll say, instead of getting the true odds of if they exceed this of plus 225 or whatever, you'll get plus 335 on it, something like that, right? And so my reaction to that is always, are we supposed to believe you on the plus 225 part of it? Like, why are we supposed to?
Great.
Why are we supposed to just believe the first part of that? But that's the kind of marketing that they're doing
Yes.
to a lot of people.
Yes.
So.
Yes. But listen, I also, going back to William Hill's, I love the Oceans Sportsbook. It's unbelievable.
It's beautiful, right?
So, yeah. I mean, hopefully they learn by these things and take these things constructively. I know they're private businesses and they can do what they want. But we're trying to help on all areas here. And hopefully it becomes well-rounded and full circle in the future. We'll see.
Yes. Warren, one more thing. The Redskins, back to actual football, the Redskins 2-point favorites, let's call 1.5-point favorites at home against the Atlanta Falcons this weekend. The Redskins are 5-2. I have famously called them so-7. They're so-7, which is my way of saying, as a guy who watches every snap of every Redskins game, they're such a 7-9 football team. And even at 5-2, I consider them to be a paper tiger. Might they exceed 7 wins? Of course they could at this point. They've banked the 5 wins. But I think true skill set, they're a 7-win team. They're 1.5-point favorites here. Jordan Reed has been a guy through the years with the Redskins, along with Chris Thompson, has been their real rock-steady go-to offensive asset. The problem with Jordan Reed through all these years has been that he's made of glass, can't stay on the field. And the Redskins, while 5-2 already this year and a slight favorite at home against the Falcons, it should be noted, even though it's fewer than 3 points, they've gotten to 5-2 without really taking advantage of a healthy Jordan Reed. Flesh that out for us, if you would.
Yeah, it's definitely been frustrating for me because, as you mentioned, Jordan Reed is such a stud. And when he's healthy, you want to use him. You can't use him when he's injured. So a lot of times you've been unable to use it because he's been injured so much. But when he's healthy, get some usage out of the guy. And if you're going to put him out on the field, if you're going to limit his snap count, that's one thing. But if you're sticking him out on the field, use him in the most advantageous manner. Jordan Reed, actually, if you go back to the modern passing era of football, as far back as 1994, there is no receiver, non-running back, so tight end or wide receiver, there's no receiver that has a higher catch rate within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage as Jordan Reed with a minimum of 250 attempts. He has caught 300 out of 325 targets. He has 255 catches. He has a 78.5% catch rate. It is the best in the NFL since 1994, and I didn't even have the ability to check prior to that. And we're talking about it is incredible. We're talking about a lot of the slot guys that we all know and love, such as Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola, guys who are catching balls from Tom Brady, Wes Welker, Antonio Brown, even tight ends that didn't even go far down the field, like Jason Witten and Travis Kelce. He's way above these guys, like far distanced himself. And yet the Redskins aren't throwing him the football very much, especially not in the red zone. The guy literally has since week 2, they've thrown him the ball 42 times, and he has just one target in the red zone. Just one. And I heard from Redskins fans yesterday after I posted a thread on their usage of him, well, we're 5-2, and that's the only thing that matters. Guess what?
No.
They've won one game by more than one score since beating the Arizona Cardinals, and that was when they hosted Aaron Rodgers in his first road game since injuring his knee. Every single other win that they've had has been by one score, and the game could have gone in a different direction with a pick six, with a fumble that's returned for a touchdown, with a failure in the red zone, and then the other team drives for a touchdown. So there's just so many things that can happen. Coaches and teams every single Sunday night start watching the film. And what do? They're not looking for, hey, guys, we're 5-2. We don't need to do this week. Wrong. They look at the film and say, where can we get better? Let's look at the specific things. How can we improve? And one of the ways the Redskins can improve is use Jordan Reed more on dig routes, post routes. I've got the numbers up on the Twitter about how great he is there, but they're not targeting him much. They're targeting him a lot on out routes and curl routes. Part of that has to do with Alex Smith, what he's comfortable with, where he wants to throw the football. And I really think that they need to try to work Jordan Reed into more advantageous situations, use him more in the red zone, because guess what? Adrian Peterson is old. He's having a phenomenal year. He's battling through injuries and still playing, but can we really expect this to continue for another 8 weeks and then into the postseason with absolutely no drop-off? We have to spread the workload here a little bit.
Love it. Such a great breakdown. So accurate on the Washington Redskins. Before we go to break real quick, and I do mean real quick, any thoughts on Oakland, San Francisco tonight, Warren? Are you touching this in any way?
Already touched it. That was a game Crack and I got down on. I gave it to Crack earlier, and actually he got down, but it was Oakland +3 is what we took. I mean, 3 players in the San Francisco secondary are dealing with injuries and out, and they don't even know who their quarterback is.
That's right.
It could be a undrafted quarterback from last season, Nick Mullins, who hasn't thrown a single snap in the NFL. Oakland's defense not good, but it's hard to want to lay points at home with a guy who has never started on a short week trying to get ready.
Sure is. 49ers right now, 2.5-point favorites at home. And again, we don't know if it's C.J. Beathard or Nick Mullins.
And we took +3 even, and that line's not available now. Don't be buying it. It's not worth a buy. It's not worth going to the 3 again. We took +3 even juice. So that's real important. If people hear that, they just want to jump on a game because we say it.
Yeah.
The margins are so thin in the NFL, winning money. This is not a play to play now.
Well said. Coming back, final 2 questions, the game that they want no part of and the big favorite that they believe is the most likely to lose outright. Why? Because I force them to answer it. It's next on A Numbers Game at VSiN.
Back to A Numbers Game with your host, Gill Alexander, broadcasting live from our VSiN studios in Las Vegas.
Always such an interesting, priceless conversation with Warren Sharp at Sharp Football on Twitter and Bill Krackomberger at Bill Crackman with a K on Twitter. Check him out. And by the way, Warren informing us offline there that those boosts I was talking about, that folks are limited to $25 on those, and he got limited to $15 on them.
Yeah.
15.
$15. That's what a guy just told me. Yeah.
Oh, my
$15.
goodness. Man.
So.
All right, final two questions, gentlemen, because we're running out of time. So real quick, of the big favorites this weekend, I'll limit it to 4 games here, the 6.5s or higher. Which is the most likely to lose outright in your opinion? The Kansas City Chiefs, 9-point favorites on the road at Cleveland. Carolina, 6.5-point favorites at home against Tampa Bay. The Chicago Bears, 10-point favorites on the road against Nathan Peterman. And the Buffalo Bills, Matt Barkley, your backup. And then Monday night, the Dallas Cowboys, 6.5-point favorites at home against Tennessee. Warren, the most likely to lose outright of those 4.
I'm going to go Monday night, Tennessee, possibly over Dallas.
Yeah, I think that's probably the one I would choose. You, Bill?
Well, I can't use Green Bay. Darn it.
Sorry, left that one out.
I agree, though.
Yeah.
The Tennessee, the Monday night game, I would absolutely agree. They had off last week, right?
Tennessee did. They were in London, the week before.
Yeah, both teams.
Yeah, that's right. Both teams were off. Dallas. Okay. When last we saw Dallas, Jason Garrett was busy botching a final drive against the Redskins, as I recall. And the Titans can muddy up games enough where you could see them doing something here. And the Cowboys, though, very home road splittish thus far this year. Undefeated at home, winless on the road. They're at home here, 6.5-point favorites on Monday night. Then the final question, gentlemen, as always, if we lived in a bizarro world where you had to bet a side on each and every one of these games this weekend, and there are 13 of them because 6 teams are on bye this week, but you were allowed one pass, one game you would absolutely want no part of. Warren, which game would that be?
I'm having a hard time on this one because I think I've got like a slight lean in every single one of these games, and none of them are so nasty that I wouldn't want to touch it. So I guess I'd have to.
That's an answer.
Have to pass your question.
Wow, I don't think we've ever gotten a pass on that question in podcast or radio form ever. Bill, which game would you pass on?
This is an easy one for me. I'm a little cynical. I don't know what's going on over there in Houston with the Denver-Houston game. I don't know if. Thomas, what happened over there? Did he bring the playbook for next week?
It's a perfect answer for you, by the way.
Yes. No. So yeah. I don't know. If he brought over like some of the playbooks and some of the things they do. So I don't know what's going on over in Houston. I'm sorry. That trade happens huge, and he's playing.
And they play each other.
They play each other this weekend. I'm staying away from that game.
Warren Sharp, sharpfootballstats.com, sharpfootballanalysis.com, on Twitter @sharpfootball. Thank you so much, sir, as always. And Bill Krackomberger @Bill Crackman with the K on Twitter, crackwins.com. Thank you, sir, as well. If you missed guys. Mitch and Paulie, they're next right here on VSiN. Follow the money. Check it out.
It's a numbers game, live from the tip of the strip in Las Vegas. Get your fill of numbers even after the show is over by following the crew on Twitter, @BeatingTheBook and @VSiNLive.
The Breeders' Cup World Championships takes place this coming Friday and Saturday at Churchill Downs. And this week only now, ExpressBet upping the ante for our VSiN listeners. A $200 sign-up bonus. You got to get in on this. $200 in free cash to bet the races. Go to ExpressBet online betting account. Okay, use the promo code now, Brent200. Sign up for an ExpressBet online betting account. Use the promo code Brent200. Wager $200 and then they apply the $200 bonus. It's like betting the races with house money. Promo code Brent200. Breeders' Cup, of course, 14 championship races showcasing the best horses in the world, making it a betting opportunity you cannot afford to pass up. So go to expressbet.com to learn more. And then next week here at VSiN, of course, Vinny and Ron and all the guys, they'll be talking about the upcoming Breeders' Cup. But remember that promo code, Brent200.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Listen, I'm going to give you the lock of the year, and Brent, you might want to write this down. This is a compliment coming to your Roll Tide. Bet Alabama first half every week, and you'll make money. 8-0 first half, first the number. That's it. I'm done.
By the way, unbelievable. It is. I got to tell you who started betting that early was Matt Humans.
They haven't played a team with a pulse.
They're the best team now.
Oh, there's no question. Yeah. But I heard a few people saying ever.
From the old-time guys like me, I shake my head, and they're running to the counter laying 27.5 in the first half like it's chocolate. It's just I just shake my head, but you know what? After we pay them off, they're looking at me like, you donkey, you don't know what the hell you're doing either. And they're right.
A straight bet for $100,000, a three-teamer for $180,000, and he lost a $20,000 4-teamer live to the Chargers. So we had 3 in going to that. So I guess he won $260 for the week.
So that's back-to-back weekends.
How would you like to make $260 in a 48-hour period bet? That would be nice.
Yeah, no kidding. I ran the numbers. The guy's up over $2 million in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I give him credit because he has the onions to bet.
Guessing lines for Week 9 in the National Football League. Again, a tribute to the old Stardust Guessing Line show. Trying to isolate value. Not sure we found any yet.
Well, there's something to think about in each one of them, right? You can make a case to take or lay these games that you've talked about already.
Nothing's
and that's the exercise, right? You know, you're making numbers as a season better.
Yep.
Comparing them to what's posted.
That's what we're doing
for your early consideration.
Many more games to go.
If you're going to make that pitch and change, knowing what's going to happen, if you bring in Woody, he's obviously going to offset